Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee classic, martial art classic. This movie was groundbreaking in terms of Hollywood cinema, in terms of martial arts in Hollywood cinema. Bruce Lee at his very best. Man, I love this film because it really showed a lot of Bruce Lee's skills within his fighting style and within his philosophy of Jeet Kune Do and his philosophy of mixed martial arts, really. You know, even see it in the first scene, you know, when he's fighting Sammo. It's actually Sammo Hung that he's fighting at the Shaolin Temple, where they're both in their underwear and wearing those gloves, those kind of MMA style gloves. And he actually submits Sammo, you know, he submits Sammo in a grappling move. It's kind of like, he kind of has him in a kind of crucifix kind of submission. And I really thought, and Sammo taps out, you know. And I thought that was really good because it really showed how far ahead he was thinking, you know. And in terms of the fight scenes, at that time, a lot of the Hong Kong films, it was very mystical, a lot of the wire fu stuff, and he didn't really like that. He wanted to bring some more realism into his fight scenes, you know, as much as you can within a movie, of course, but he wanted to bring a bit more grounded fighting style so you could see his actual fighting ability. And this movie really shone in that sense, you know. It's a great story for a martial art movie. You know, this tournament held by this drug lord who's really looking to recruit new soldiers, and he uses the martial arts tournament to kind of find new talent, you know. And Mr. Han, you know, the guy with the chopped off hand, he uses different knives he uses different hands as weapons, you know, he's got knife hands as weapons. And it's got that famous scene with the mirrors, him fighting Mr. Han with the mirrors. But some of my favorite fight scenes in the movie would have to be between Bruce Lee and Bob Wall's character. He's the guy who killed or forced his sister kill herself earlier in the movie, which we see the flashback. And so Bruce Lee, he's in this, he's taking this job really to infiltrate Mr. Han's island, but he's really, you know, he doesn't believe, he believes in what he's doing, but he's doing it for the greater good, but he's also doing it for revenge for his sister, you know. And that fight, when it came down to it, it was like a flawless victory. Bruce Lee just destroyed him, you know, and we're waiting for that moment because they really built Han up to be this really ruthless henchman, but it actually ended up being Bolo Yen. He was the big Chinese guy. He was like the henchman. There's a great point in the movie where Bruce Lee had been caught after he goes, you know, when he goes for he goes to infiltrate Han's operations, and he has that brilliant fight with the guards where he's using all the different weapons. He's using the staff, he's using the screaming sticks, he's using the nunchuckers, and you see that brilliant nunchucker sequence that he has. But then after he gets caught, and then he gets Bolo to challenge John Saxton's character, and John Saxton standing there and Bolo moves forward, and then Bruce kind of comes up and he's like, kind of struts forward like, I'll fight this guy, and then he's like, no, I'll do it. And you're like, no, I really wanted to see that fight. Apparently in Game of Death, the movie that obviously he didn't get to finish because he interrupted shooting of Game of Death to do Enter the Dragon when the Enter the Dragon opportunity came up, but apparently Bruce Lee said that they will have a fight scene. He'll hire him to work on Game of Death, and they will have a fight scene within Game of Death, and they'll design a fight for him and Bolo to fight in that movie, which would have been epic, but unfortunately we never got to see that. Now that was really good. I mean, even in that fight scene you see Bolo apply like an armbar. It's not a great armbar that he's applying at the time in that fight, but it's still the understanding of these different movements, these grappling movements, the understanding of how to use different weapons as well as striking techniques. Bruce Lee really brought into this movie. It's one that you need to watch as a martial arts film fan. It's one that will forever be a classic because of the impact that it had on Hollywood, on the film industry, and obviously Bruce Lee is a legend. You know, unfortunately he didn't get to see the movie because he died just before the release of the movie. But this movie will forever be a martial art classic. You know, not only as a movie, but in terms of what Bruce Lee brought in terms of his philosophy on martial arts and his philosophy of of expressing yourself on film. And I thought this movie just really done him justice. It was a great movie, and you must see it if you've not seen it, but I'm sure if you're watching this, you have seen this movie. Like, comment down below, let me know how many times you've seen Enter the Dragon. I've seen it, I don't even know how many times, I've lost count. Definitely over 100 times. Love this movie, and I love Bruce Lee in this movie. His role was really good. Also, I like the Jim Kelly character. He was really good. It's great to see, you know, his afro and his karate fighting style. There's even a scene where he takes on the police. You know, it shows the flashbacks of all the characters, and he's one of the police are coming up to him, and obviously you have a lot of police brutality in America, especially young black men. And it's just crazy to see like him just completely take on the police, like beat them up, and then he obviously he stole the police car, and then you see the flashback go back to Hong Kong, and you're like, what? That guy was just a complete rebel. He just didn't care. He was very cocky, very confident, but unfortunately he met his demise to Mr. Han. So yeah, so great. It has some great characters. You got these great actors playing these great characters, and obviously the legendary Bruce Lee like just smashed it. So anyway, if you like this video, hit that like button, share, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you thought of Enter the Dragon. Do you consider this Bruce Lee's best film, or did you like a film like Way of the Dragon better, or some of the scenes that you saw from Game of Death, from the unfinished footage? Because there's some great unfinished footage of Game of Death. I think that would have been really one of Bruce Lee's masterpieces if he had been alive to finish that movie, but unfortunately he wasn't. So Enter the Dragon, where does it rank in terms of your Bruce Lee movies, in terms of your martial art movies? Because for me it's up there. It's definitely up there. Anyway, I'll see you next time for another video, and until then, remember, behind every fight is a great story. Peace.